All right, we are live.
Yes, indeed we are. How's everyone doing out there?
How is everyone doing out there on this lovely Friday?
My name is John Gardner, and this is my wife and law partner, Radlyn Mendoza, and we are the law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We're an immigration law firm
Hey guys.
located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is on the east coast of the United States. And we come to you every Friday from noon to 1.
Almost every Friday.
Yeah, I mean, almost every Friday.
Pretty
from noon to 1.
consistent, pretty consistent.
Yeah, we come to give you sometimes inspirational stories. Sometimes we have immigration updates that are going on. But most importantly, what we like to do is answer your immigration questions. Now, I will warn you that what we do here is for informational and educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice, and I'll be repeating that a couple more times.
Yeah, me too.
Throughout our simulcast here, and I say simulcast because we're also joined by our whole world of TikTok followers out here, our family in TikTok. So get your questions loaded up, and we will be getting to them shortly.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to tell the folks on TikTok is that we take the questions
We have rules
in the order that they're received. And so just posting the question over and over again, it just slows everything down for everyone because it pushes the other questions off, and then I got to go back through and look for them. So post it once, and I promise you that we will take them in the order that they're received.
All right? So it is July 7th, right?
Today is July 7th.
Yeah. It's a kind of an interesting week because we had the 4th of July celebration in the middle of the week, or it was on Tuesday.
Yeah. For those of you here in the United States, happy 4th.
Hopefully everyone had a nice celebration, and we're safe.
Absolutely.
About it all.
Absolutely. Oh, I want to also say hello. My mom and my nephew, Daniel James, often join us on Friday. So in the event that they're with us, hello.
Hello, hello. Hope y'all are doing well and everybody is staying cool in the summertime here. And we've had some record-breaking highs all across the United States, and finally it got warm here in Virginia Beach, where we're located.
Yeah, summer is definitely upon us.
We have a couple of announcements, right? Just a couple of things for you all to be aware of with regard to an update on passport processing.
Well, one short update that I want to give everyone is if you are doing any passport work, you're applying for a passport, renewing your passport, getting ready to go on a trip, make sure you check that your passport is valid. Make sure that you have at least 6 months validity if you're going to a country where that's required. And also make sure you allot enough time to get your passport or get it renewed. There was an article that I saw recently that said that the U.S. State Department said that it's grappling with an unprecedented number of requests for passports. And so waiting times are going to be longer than usual. They said that they were in fiscal year 2022 that they issued a record-breaking 22 million passports, and they're on pace to crush that record this year. So that's the warning. I mean, I know it's human nature, like, oh, let me go check my passport. I mean, we've all done it. You're all racing to get it done. They're backlogged. So make sure you're adding some cushion time there. Okay.
Yeah. So is it taking about 8 to 10 weeks right now for an expedited passport? And I think that we were looking at the article and it was saying they were doing 4,000 passport applications per week.
Said that now to expect a 10 to 13 week processing time.
Right.
All right.
And, back in the day, we're just used to going in there 4-6 weeks before the trip. Like, oh, I need to renew the passport. No longer, that's not available any longer just because of these backlogs. So guys, be careful with that.
Yep. Just a warning. If you need to do it, no day like today. Today's the day.
Today's the day. Even if you're not going on a trip in the next 6 months to a year and your passport is expired, go ahead and renew that because you never know. I mean, if you have family members abroad and God forbid something happens to one of your family members and you need to rush back, you want to be ready to be able to do that. So that is our update for today regarding U.S. passports and summer travel. And we also got announcements from USCIS. USCIS is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and they're the ones that are processing applications like the I-130 petition, the naturalization application, many, many more work authorization documents. But anyhow, they announced that rescheduling biometrics is going to be available for all of us electronically. So we're going to be able to electronically reschedule our biometrics appointments. That's very exciting. And I know good news to a lot of people out there who are concerned about, not being able to make it to the biometrics. When I send this back in, how do I know that they're actually receiving it? So this is good news. You're going to have an account with USCIS. We will post something about that on our Facebook page. So if you're not following us on Facebook or on the socials, please go ahead and follow us, where we often post important and timely updates. All right. So I think that's about it for the updates for today. And we have a question here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hit it.
All right.
All right. Adam wants to know, he says, "Hi guys, I have a good friend who lives in Pakistan. I have no idea how to go about getting started with him to migrate to the U.S. Any advice would be helpful."
This is a wide open question. Open question. So Adam, thanks for hopping on here and inquiring about your friend in Pakistan. You're a good friend to do that. With regard to how he can migrate to the United States, there are several ways. They're not necessarily applicable to a lot of people, but just generally speaking, one way is to do it through a family petition. You didn't mention that he has family members here, so not sure if that's an option for him, a close family member petitioning for him. And another option is through business or employment. So it's pretty wide open if your friend wants to immigrate to the United States.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, but Adam added here that he has zero knowledge of this process and his friend does not have family here.
Gotcha. Okay. So no knowledge of the process. So, I mean, again, my starting question would be, what are you thinking about? I mean, you're thinking about sponsoring him through your business, through employment and investment. And that's where we start the conversation and go from there. So if it's just kind of like, oh, how does he get to the United States permanently? Again, those are the two generally, again, this is very generally speaking, ways in order to be able to immigrate to the United States. If we're talking about visiting, that's a completely different situation. Applying for a tourist visa, he'd have to do that online. There's also the student visa. So it just depends on what the end goal is and whether or not your friend would be eligible for meet the requirements for any of these types of visas. So great question. It kind of goes back to, hey, contact an immigration attorney to do a full case evaluation, and we may be able to find some solutions for your friend.
See what options may be available. Yeah, as Radlyn said, those are the two major ways. There's family immigration and there's business immigration. And so if he doesn't have any family here, then probably that would be inquiring about a business avenue. Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to just kind of segue into, I mentioned contacting an immigration attorney. We have an immigration law firm. As John said, John is my husband and law partner. We started our law firm 23 years ago. And if you'd like a consultation, feel free to give us a call. I'm going to stick our banner up on the Facebook. But for those of you on TikTok, you can call directly, or here, 757-464-9224 is our office number if you want to talk to someone at our office now and a live person. And, we used to do this at night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And, of course, when you called our office, it was closed, but our office is open right now.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to schedule a consultation, give us a call.
And again, that's 757-464-9224. You can email us also info@gmlaw.net.
And reach out to us on all the socials.
Yeah. Okay. So that was, we were telling him that maybe there was a business option available. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We'll come over here to TikTok, where definitely a family question.
Yeah.
Hello, my fiance is in London and we want to marry so he can come to the United States. How long does the process take? And maybe we may want to also talk about what the process would be, what the options are.
So the fiance wants they want to get married.
Yeah, fiance is in London. They want to get married, and looks like they want to be here, not London.
Right. So, I mean, as far as time wise, it really depends on whether we're talking about getting married and doing an immigrant visa as the spouse, or if we're doing the fiance visa. And both of those are really taking a couple of years in order to process. I said a couple, that's right, like as in 2+. And unfortunately, the fiance visa the processing time is really kind of tripled since pre-COVID. And I'm not sure whether this person who's asking the question is a U.S. citizen, but you have to be a U.S. citizen in order to petition for your fiance. So if you're a lawful permanent resident, the option here would be, one option would be to go get married and then petition for your spouse as a lawful permanent resident. But let's just assume that we have a U.S. citizen who's asking this question. The very short answer is, for this process, if you're going to petition for your spouse, if you go to London or somewhere else to get married, then it's going to take at least a couple of years, because the petition itself is taking quite a long time. NVC processing is 3 to 4 months, and then scheduling an interview is also going to take several months to do that. So when you add it all up, you are looking at almost a couple of years. The same thing goes for the fiance visa. One of the things that we ask are the people who come in for a consultation is, what is the goal? You know, if sometimes people come in and they say, look, my fiance, really the most important thing to my fiance is that they are able to work in the United States immediately. Well, if that's the case, then the fiance visa is probably not the right route, because you can't work when you come to the United States on a fiance visa until after you have filed your work authorization document. And those are taking about 12 months. So long story long, it's going to take a couple of years if you are petitioning for your fiance or your spouse, and that process is happening abroad. You're doing consular processing. There is another possibility, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want people to get confused. Excuse me. I don't want people to get confused and also take what we say here and go do the thing that's a possibility. So if you would like to know that third possibility, you're going to have to make a consultation and have a consultation with us, which I think you should do anyway, whether it's with us or with another immigration law firm that you're comfortable with. Again, this process is taking couple of years. If you're doing the fiance visa process, there's another 18 months potentially tagged on to that just to get the green card. So definitely consult with an immigration attorney. This is your fiance, which means this person is going to be your spouse, and really the most important person in your life. Which, if you're newlyweds and you don't have a family yet, but you're planning on having a family, this is really the start, of that, right? Just kind of look at it in that way. Like, this is right now probably the most important thing that I can do is to get this immigration part right, so I can go and live the rest of my life with the person that I want to be with. So
yeah, it's definitely a sound investment. I mean, it's the most important thing that you're doing, and you really do want to make sure that you get it right. There are a lot of pitfalls along the way and a lot of things to be careful about. So highly recommend an attorney. If it's not us, you should have an immigration attorney. Obviously, it'd be great if it's us, but if for whatever reason you want to hire someone else, fair enough. Just make sure that they know what they're doing. Okay. And I also want to remind you, because you mentioned about not taking this information and running with it. For those of you who are just joining us, what we do here, we do field questions, but it is not legal advice. It is for informational and educational purposes only. Okay.
Right. And this kind of goes for everything that you see on the internet, right, guys? I mean, it's either you're on WebMD or you're on a blog post or you're on some lawyer's social media, my TikTok page, our Facebook page. You've got to know that this is for informational purposes only. It doesn't matter what it is. It's for informational purposes only. So if a fencing company tells you that, you should dig here, and then you go start digging, but they actually didn't say, hey, you need to go get the person to go look to make sure there's no line there, because they just didn't put that in their blog post. Just be careful.
Yep.
And digging into an electrical power line, I don't know if it would be live or not, but maybe it would be.
you wish that you'd gotten a proper survey before you.
Right. And the kind of the same goes with anything that you see on the internet. Just take it for what it is, which is informational purposes only, and do not go and run and go act on that advice. Get more information. And if that means going and spending a few $100s for a consultation, then do that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, and real quick, Kentucky 2008 here said, I thank you again for the help you gave us. My wife was successful in her citizenship.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Let's high five that.
Yeah, I love to hear
that. Makes us feel great.
Happy to hear that, Kentucky 2008. And for those of you who have never visited Kentucky, it's a beautiful state.
Did you used to go to Bardstown?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I have such a great memory.
If you've never driven through Kentucky, you should. It's really pretty. Okay.
Bardstown, Kentucky. Okay, let's see here. I think we're here on the live stream.
Let's
Maybe.
See here. I'm gonna let me scoot back down here. I just don't want to lose our place here.
Okay.
And I just saw real quick our phone number. For those of you on TikTok, somebody asked, the number is 757-464-9224. Again, 757-464-9224. And obviously, we're in the United States doing U.S. immigration law.
Yep. And it's also in the bio link on TikTok.
Okay. Who's up here? Okay.
Are we here?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Okay, this says, hi, I have a question about visas. My whole family got their visas, but in some circumstances, only me and my dad flew to the United States. It's now been 15 years and the visas are expired. What should we do?
Well, it sounds like potentially an overstay situation. So we would take a look at that to see if there are any laws that the family might be grandfathered under to take advantage of any laws in place previously that would allow a person to adjust their status here in the United States. Because it sounds like to me that you came into the United States on a visa, which is now expired. It's been some time. And that would mean that you're not in status currently. So what should you do? You should, if you haven't, right, it's been 15 years, you should go and make an appointment with an immigration attorney and have a consultation with them. You should call us and we can take a look at to see if there's anything that we can do in your case. And if there is, then we would and make those recommendations to you. But there sometimes, when you call our office, our team is going to ask you a bunch of questions to see if it is something that we can help you with. Unfortunately, we can't help everyone. depending on the facts and circumstances. We only are really looking to consult with people who are ready to take that step to have an immigration team on their side to work with them and do their cases with them. So if you are ready to do that, absolutely give us a call, 757-464-9224. Our team will ask you a few questions and see if it is something that we can help you with. And if it is something that we can help you with, we would absolutely schedule a consultation with you. So thanks for joining our live, and we'd be happy to help you if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Both for you, the peer, and you may have questions as well about whatever happened to the rest of the family who had visas but didn't come for whatever reason.
Oh, I got to say hi to Jeff Tobin. He says, hello, Radlyn, great advice. So Jeff used to be an immigration officer at the Norfolk Immigration Office many moons ago. And it was a crazy time when Jeff was an immigration officer because the office was so packed and busy, and he didn't even have an office. I think I did a few interviews with him, maybe at an InfoPass, or I'm kind of just getting these little snippets of when Jeff first came on as an immigration officer with USCIS. Great guy. And Jeff, thanks for hopping on and saying hello.
And Jeff, go ahead and post to everybody that they really should just hire an immigration lawyer.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we worked on a few cases together before Jeff moved on to bigger and better things. I, however, am still I'm still here. What did he say?
He says I had a cubby hole.
Yeah, he had a cubby hole. That's right. That's what it was. But great to see you, Jeff. Thanks for saying hi. All right.
Oh, okay. So you were right about the previous question. It had nothing to do with anyone at home still. It was just her and her dad here. Wait, no, I'm sorry. She and her dad are citizens now. So I guess.
Oh, okay. That's great. It all worked out.
Yeah, the question, you still should call us. The question she had was they're citizens now. The question was about what to do about the fact that the other family members got visas granted 15 years ago but never came. Is there any?
Oh, but never came. Gotcha.
Is there anything to do with that? And thank you, Jeff, for saying that. He says nowadays you really need an immigration lawyer. So you heard it there from a former USCIS immigration officer.
That's right.
Yeah. So
and I would argue you've always needed one, but anyway.
Yeah.
That's my need to be right.
Either way, this person, a friend, you should call us. All right, about these questions.
Yeah. Okay. And we may, 15 years ago, never came on the visas. You may have to refile for them if that's a possibility. So, but I'm glad you and your dad are not the ones who have overstayed and you have citizenship.
Okay, we got a question here on TikTok.
Okay.
It came in 3 parts, but I got it all here. So it says, my wife is in Kenya.
Yep.
And we started our process in 2001, and we've gone through USCIS, and we got approved. And then we went to NVC.
A lot of facts here. Yeah.
We got approved at NVC, and now we've been waiting for Kenya, the Kenyan consulate, for an interview for a year now.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can expedite the process to get us interview faster?
How about if we file a lawsuit against them? That sounds like a good idea. What do you think? Possibly a lawsuit. So for those of you who have been waiting for an interview and you're done waiting, you want to take some action, then we'd be happy to consult with you about whether filing a lawsuit is right for your case. And there are 400,000 of you who are still waiting for an interview. 400,000. And they're processing, 30 to 40,000 cases a month, and of course adding more and more on. So this is a possibility to take that plunge and consider filing a lawsuit. We're happy to consult with you on that, whether it's right for you and your family, but that's what we could do. Jeff says we are super knowledgeable. I swear we didn't pay Jeff to be here.
Yeah.
He's just here. We're Facebook friends. That's why he's here. We must have We must have invited him to like our page, and he.
I don't know. His thumbnail made it look like he was out on the open road somewhere out in like Route 66 on a
Oh man,
motorcycle.
he's everywhere. He's
awesome.
everywhere. I think you've moved back now, though, right, Jeff?
Okay, let's see. Let's go back up before his first. This was the next. This is a very long question.
Okay, you want to read it?
Sure. We have a family immigration visa in process from the Bahamas to Boston and are just waiting for the interview. We've been waiting for an interview to be rescheduled for more than there's a missing word there, something now.
4 months or 4
Probably.
years.
The Bahamas, have gone to new online reservation process that is cumbersome and no appointments are available. We are charged with going onto the website to check. It is so frustrating, and there seems to be no end in sight. Any advice?
Some breathing. Can you guys hear that sigh? Well, first off, we totally feel your frustration because we have to deal with the same systems and processes that you guys have to go through. It's just that we are the ones who are. This is what we do, right? We take the frustration off of your hands and put them on our shoulders because that's what you hire an immigration law firm for, is to take the pain away, and we take the pain. So unfortunately, you're kind of in a little bit of a catch-22 here with regard to, it sounds like you can't get the appointments. I mean, hopefully you haven't been waiting for 4 years, but one bit of information that we can tell you if you haven't tried this yet, and this is also for those who the last person who asked this question, is, reach out to congressional, let them know what your frustrations are, congressional liaison, and see if they cannot make an inquiry on your behalf. So we say this, if you go to our Live Love Immigration Facebook page, how to make a congressional inquiry is posted there with basically the link. And honestly, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. So it's worth a shot if you have tried, everything on your end, but still no result. It's definitely worth taking that that step in getting some congressional liaison assistance. But other than that, we have to also work in the systems that you guys are going through, and we feel your frustration 100%.
Yeah, in some cases, not this particular set of facts, but cases like going back to the gentleman in Kenya that are stalled, as Radlyn said, one ultimate remedy is to file a lawsuit in the United States District Court. Immigration law is federal law, and you can seek a remedy from the federal court. So ultimately, you can ask a federal judge to weigh in on this. In our experience, it never goes that far. Typically, the U.S. Attorney's Office is pretty quick to intervene and act on it.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here. And I understand that seems like going back to Radlyn mentioning pain points, that goes to your fear. I get it. You're asking the United States government basically to give you a remedy of some sort. And then we're saying, you could always sue them. That seems like, I don't want to sue the people I'm asking this benefit from. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes that's the only option. And it's an amazingly effective way sometimes to unjam and unclog these cases and get them going.
Yeah, I don't know if Jeff was there when we were filing tons of lawsuits, but they were effective. Got the result that we wanted.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, the next question. Do you want to grab one over there? Are we up here now, right?
Nope. Yep, you're there.
So Putri wants to know, kind of like understanding what this means if USCIS says that the I-130 is, quote, she got something that says, quote, your case is taking longer than expected time.
Yeah.
Than the expected time.
Yes. So we got the same question last week.
Yeah, I know. We're getting them more and more.
Right. Your case is taking longer than expected is basically just take it verbatim that you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. on getting an approved I-130. And there's not too much that you can do about that unless the case is outside of processing times and you can make an inquiry about it. But if it's still within processing times at your service center, then there's really not too much that you can do.
Right. Other than just see it perhaps as just a courtesy to let you know that it's taking longer than you might have expected.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. We've got this question here.
All right. Van wants to know a question about adopting a niece from the Philippines. Do we still need a lawyer knowing that the process is going to be between the FAA here and RACCO in the Philippines?
So it really depends on, so it is your niece. Yeah. I mean, you're still going to have to tackle the immigration portion of this case. And the immigration portion of this case, when you're petitioning for a family member and you're filing that I-130 petition for the family member, then there are other requirements that aren't requirements actually to adopt a child in the Philippines. So you want to make sure that before filing the I-130 petition, you've met the requirements for getting an I-130 petition approved for a family member. And USCIS, I'm going to say not always. Okay. Let me not say always, because we shouldn't talk about extremes like that. But oftentimes USCIS with these adoption cases of family members, they are really putting these cases through the ringer. In fact, this is one of the cases that we had to file a lawsuit on because, I was looking at it, we filed it in 2017. And yes, I-130 petitions are taking a long time to approve, but this was way outside of the processing times. We filed a lawsuit in 2021 and it got approved. I mean, actually the very next day, the government was served the I-130 petition that we had been waiting and writing and inquiring and congressional inquirying. It's not a verb, but nothing happened. Nothing moved. And when you say in your letter to USCIS, like if you don't respond with anything, then we are going to file a lawsuit. Well, you better be ready to file that lawsuit, which we did. And we got the result that we wanted. So, but we're not, Van, I'm not talking about lawsuit, like you've got to file a lawsuit. What I'm saying is that the requirements in order to get an I-130 petition approved for an adopted family member, you would be very surprised at how difficult it is to meet those requirements, including the physical location of the child's biological parents. So anyhow, these are the types of cases that we do. Once the adoption is finalized, file that I-130 petition on behalf of the adoptive parents, and we go from there. Make sure that you are eligible to do that and meet the requirements.
Yeah, and just as a side note, in the event that any of you who are tuning in have, a legal question that basically involves something that would have to be handled by an attorney in the Philippines, you should still reach out to us because we can perhaps refer you to some legal counsel to assist you over there. Radlyn was just in the Philippines last month to meet with a group of attorneys that are, a resource for us for things like if you need to quiet the title to property there or a family law issue, things that are, that would be the equivalent of state law here that would need to be handled there first. Let us know. We can put you in touch with somebody. All right. Okay. And Rose was on earlier and was saying hello and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take her one person out of order only because I know she was one of the very first people on. She says a quick question. She said, "Hi, my husband is planning to petition my son. Do they still need my paperwork? I'm the mom."
My husband is planning to.
So she has a son.
Yeah.
And I know from a prior post that it was the Philippines and that son's probably in the Philippines and the husband is going to petition for the son.
Is it the husband's child? Okay. Well, let's just kind of tackle this. If we're talking about your husband, who is the step parent of your child, then the first question is, did you and your husband get married before the child turned age 18? That's question number one. If the answer is yes, then you will be needing, your marriage certificate with your current husband, of course, and also as far as your son will need the birth certificate to show that you are his mom. So in that respect, yes, some of your documentation is going to be needed, and that is also the case with biological parent. So if it's a biological parent, the question is, were you guys married when your son was born? And if not, then your husband is going to have to show additional documentation in order to support that petition that he supported his son and in effect legitimized his son. So hopefully that answers the question. If we're talking about an affidavit of support situation here, it depends on the household income size. Does your husband make enough money to show that he meets the threshold requirements on the affidavit of support? So possibly we'll be needing your documentation.
All right. Hope that helps, Rose.
Yep.
And then can we just grab one more over here real
Sure.
quick?
We don't have that many questions here.
Raymond wanted to know, because he was here early, how long does my social security number and work permit get to me after my biometrics?
So, again, it depends, but we're seeing 10 to 12 months right now. It's a long time. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but it is taking a long time for biometrics. I'm sorry, for the EAD. And once you get your EAD, your work authorization document, employment authorization document, then your social security number is going to come in the mail a few weeks later.
All right. Okay.
Are we here?
Yeah, we've been answering questions for a bit, so I'm going to just break for a minute just for those who are just coming on to reintroduce ourselves.
Re-intro. I like it.
Yeah, and the warning. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlyn Mendoza, and we're the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza, located in Virginia Beach,
again.
Virginia. And we come here every Friday from noon to 1, almost every Friday, to answer your questions. And I do want to warn you that what we do here is for informational and educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice. Okay.
I think we're falling down on the entertainment part.
Well, you know what? We're just getting a lot of questions.
A lot of serious questions here.
I'm guessing people want their questions answered more than they want us to be entertaining. Just a guess.
I bet they want us to be entertaining while we're answering the question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Speaking of serious, we have a
yeah, I saw that. I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
No, what's the question?
Serious question. I'm a green card holder. Am I allowed to have an OnlyFans account for business? I mean, I'm not.
So, I think this question kind of goes to removability, right? And if you are within the confines of the law and not breaking any laws, well, I'm actually not going to answer the question because I'm familiar with the OnlyFans account and OnlyFans, but I don't know too much about it. If you file for U.S. citizenship, for example, and you're going to be asked a series of questions, and if you can't answer yes to some of those questions, that would prevent you from becoming a U.S. citizen. That's one thing, but some of those answering yes to some of those questions can also result in being put in removal proceedings. So I would say that it really just depends on what's happening there. And again, I know that I'm familiar with OnlyFans account just because of what is on the OnlyFans, but I'm not really sure of the legality of the OnlyFans account. Aren't you? Didn't you work on some stuff with the OnlyFans account?
That was something different.
Okay, something different.
That was a criminal case. That involved something called back
Back
page.
page.
Back
Okay,
page. Yeah,
different.
not
Something different.
OnlyFans. I'm not sure.
So
what I know
sorry
what
we
I'm-
can't be too helpful here, but I think that so long as you are not breaking any laws and anything that you're doing is not falling under any section of the law that makes you removable as a lawful permanent resident, then you could be okay. But again, as John said, this is not legal advice. If you're seriously concerned about it, I would maybe, run it by a criminal defense attorney to see, hey, I have an OnlyFans account. This is what's happening on it. Do you think that I'm breaking any laws? Like having a weapon, for example, as a lawful permanent resident, brandishing a weapon, anything dealing with a firearm, that's super just risky behavior. Let's say you're on your OnlyFans account and whatever you do is brandishing a firearm. I mean, I'm just kind of like pull, I could pull a bunch of other things, but this is just one thing that I know where lawful permanent residents can really get into some serious issues with just brandishing a firearm. But anyhow.
Yeah, and that's this is not a specific question, but it reminds me that I would like to remind everyone listening that if you are a permanent resident and you're not a U.S. citizen, you really do want to be more careful with your daily conduct, because there are some pretty small things, what seem like pretty small things,
right,
that can really become a serious problem. They can sometimes prevent or delay citizenship. Sometimes if you're applying for citizenship, you can inadvertently find yourself in removal proceedings rather than becoming a citizen. So
that's a shocker.
Yeah, I mean, think about
It's
that.
happened.
You go to become you finally decide, I'm going to just go ahead and become a citizen, and next thing you know, you're in removal proceedings because of some criminal case that you had years ago. So be super careful with that stuff. Super, super, super careful. And Lele, is that how you would pronounce that? You're smart. You're wise to be asking the question, because as a general rule, just in life, I think if you pause about something, there's a good chance that it's a problem.
Could be a problem.
If it makes you think twice, should I do this? I would trust your gut and
go get the information
and go find out for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When our kids, John and I have 3 kids. When our kids were little, I would say, should I cut this grape in half? And we would always say, or we would be like, do I need to cut this food down a little bit smaller? And we would always say, if we have to ask the question, then you probably should cut the grape in half or do what you need to do. So if you're asking this question, as John said, you kind of ought to look behind it and see if there's anything to it. I mean, one thing that came up in the media a few weeks ago or a month ago was Prince Harry, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So you guys may know that Prince Harry put this book out. It's called Spare, and it's just sold a bunch of copies and is extremely popular. Now, Prince Harry he lives in the United States, right? I think he lives in Malibu still with his wife and daughter or child or whatever. All these groups are saying, wait a minute, Prince Harry has admitted in this book to doing all kinds of illegal drugs. And everyone else who's not a prince cannot come into the United States if you're just admitting, even if you don't get convicted, of doing any type of illegal drug.
Yeah, if you're doing a medical and you admit that you've used drugs, exactly like Radlyn said. So
I'm sure Prince he probably has his own jet, like a Wakanda jet that just brings him into the US and, he doesn't even have to do anything. But that kind of came up in immigration news, like, hey, Prince Harry has admitted to all these illicit drugs. What are y'all going to do about it?
Yeah.
So
I can hear immigration lawyers all over the country saying, yes, my client would like the Prince Harry treatment.
Right.
The Prince Harry standard, where prior drug use doesn't matter at all.
Right. He can still come into the United States. So great question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go check it out.
Sorry, we don't have a specific answer. We had a little entertainment. I mean, I
That
don't know,
was-
it was kind of entertaining.
Right, with Prince Harry.
It wasn't super entertaining. Okay. So,
Hopefully that has helped just a smidge, only just for you to, you know, kind of look to see what's happening on your OnlyFans page and brandishing weapons, drug use, obviously anything. Anyway, we will leave it at that.
all right, Skeezy over here wants to know how long are citizenship applications taking at the moment?
So, great question. It really depends on where you are going to be interviewing for that. So, where your local office is. So, if your local office is, say, in Norfolk, which is where we're located, Norfolk, Virginia, then it's taking about 19 months right now from the time of filing to the time of interview. So, it really just depends. I recently did a search for, I'm going to probably mess up the months, but like Boston was shorter. It was like 16 months. I think that LA was a little bit shorter as well. So you would have to take a look and check processing times. And you can do that, guys, checking processing times. You just have to basically Google USCIS processing times. It will be the first thing that comes up, which is the USCIS processing times page. Make sure it is uscis.gov. You don't have to pay for this information. But then what you would do is put your form number in, which would be the N400. Then you would put in the field office where you're going to be interviewing. And then, the type of form, it's going to be naturalization. And then it will basically spit out a number of months as to how long it's going to take. And what it usually says is going to say 80% of the cases are taking X amount of time. So that's what you can expect. Oh, and your mom says happy Friday. Your mom is here via YouTube.
Yeah. Hi, Mama. Happy Friday to you too. I'll call you this weekend. Love you. Okay. Let's see. We have a question. Did we get this one? I don't think so.
Not yet. Did you?
Yeah, that was the last one here was from TikTok. So now we're back to Facebook Live. Okay, Roselle wants to know, hi, good day. The husband of my auntie, who is an American citizen, filed a petition for the aunt.
Okay.
Is there any possible way to expedite the petition based on the petitioner being a senior and a person with a disability?
Possibly. Yep. Depends on the circumstances, depends on the proof, but it is possible to submit a request to get that expedited based on those facts. Yes.
All right. So something worth looking into, Roselle. Okay.
Yep.
All right, over here, back to TikTok. Alexander wants to know, my VAWA application was denied. What can I do?
So with the VAWA application, I'm not sure when the VAWA application was denied, and of course the basis for denial. You could potentially file a motion to reopen that if you think there's anything else that you can add, and really the reasons for the denial. So I would look there first, depending on when that denial was, and see, go have it evaluated. So if you had it, hopefully you had it filed by an immigration attorney, you may consider getting a second opinion if there could be some fresh eyes taking a look at the case and seeing if there's anything else that you could put in there that's stronger. So, yep. I think someone's looking for our number.
Yep, another number. I was just going to say another number request. For those of you who are trying to reach us, our phone number is 757-464-9224. Again, that number is 757-464-9224. You can also reach out to us. Our email, info@gmlaw.net. Again, info@gmlaw.net. And you can also look for us on Facebook and TikTok.
Yep.
All right.
So Van has a question. I'm not going to put it up on the board.
Long
just because it's super long.
Can you read it? You want me to read it?
Yep, go ahead and read it.
Okay, asking for a friend. She came here on a K-1 visa. However, she ended up marrying another guy.
Happens.
And right before the visa expired, she went back to the Philippines.
Good.
And right now, the husband filed for a spousal visa. She's confused if that's going to be processed by USCIS because she has a previous K-1 visa with another guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need to cancel the K-1 visa first? And if so, how are they going to do that since the first guy and her are no longer having communications?
Right. So long as your friend stayed, well, no, let me just back up a little bit. The answer to the question, I think the question is it going to be processed? Is the I-130 petition going to be processed? Because because the husband filed an I-130 petition for the spouse. And the reason for the question is, hey, I came into the United States on a fiance visa. I didn't marry the other person, but I married someone else, and I left, and that person is now filing the I-130 petition for me. So the answer to the question is yes. USCIS is going to adjudicate that I-130 petition. Are they going to approve the I-130 petition? It depends on, whether the couple put the proper documentation in it, whether the couple put the documentation to show that it was a bona fide and real marriage and relationship. So when your friend came in on that fiance visa, she basically fulfilled the requirements of, coming on the fiance visa by entering the United States. She didn't fulfill the requirement of getting married within 90 days, but as far as entering on that fiance visa, she did fulfill that requirement. I mean, the I-129F, the fiance visa petition is done. It's already been approved. I'm not sure if there's anything to do at this point with that visa because it was never really used all the way through in the sense that she did not marry the person that sponsored her on the fiance visa. So, again, not legal advice, but the information I am imparting today is that I don't think there's anything that needs to be done with that visa because it's done. She already came in on it. I mean, it may not be a bad idea actually to just inform. Well, I mean, it's going to go into a black hole, but anyway. Well, basically with the I-130 petition kind of going to the core question, USCIS will adjudicate that I-130 petition. All right.
I hope that helps, and good luck to your friend.
Yep. And grab.
Yeah, Marcos over here. After approval of an I-130 for a long distance wife, can I wait to file 4 or 5 months for the DS-260?
All right. So Marco wants to know if he can kind of delay moving on to the next step, which is the National Visa Center process. And the answer is yes, but you have to be careful and make sure that you are staying in contact with the National Visa Center to make sure that they don't think that you have abandoned the case. It's not going to, 4 to 5 months is not going to trigger any letters from National Visa Center regarding abandonment. I would pay the fee bill. I mean, maybe it's a money issue, but I would go ahead and pay the fee bill of $4.45 to the National Visa Center just so that's done. And I'm curious to know why you would want to delay for 4 or 5 months.
I was wondering the same thing. I was just going to say, why?
I mean, maybe maybe you don't have $445 to pay the NVC to process, but if it's for any other reason, like, oh, well, I don't want my spouse to come in too soon because she's got to finish school or whatever, I would delay it on that end. I would try to get it through NVC processing first. There's going to be huge delays anyway with scheduling an interview. So I would not needlessly delay on the NVC end if there's no real good reason for it. And I don't know what that reasoning might be. It could be $445. If that is the case, I would say come up with the $445 somehow and just do that.
All right. We have one there. We've got.
This is a processing time question for an 824. How long does it take the 824 to approve and send my approval petition to the National Visa Center? I have not checked 824 times yet, but as I mentioned earlier in this video, you can check 824 times by Googling USCIS processing times, putting the form 824 in, and it will spit out the time frame. But the last I talked about 824 processing with our team, it was, I believe it was like in the 9 to 12 month range. And yeah, I would double check though. Okay.
All right. Let's see here. Jenny wants to know, this is also very wide open. I mean, we need way more information, but a friend of mine ran away from foster care when he was young. How to process for paperwork.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure.
We would need a lot more there.
Yep. We've got one question here.
All right. Good afternoon. How will an overstay K2 visa change her status if the parents didn't marry 7 years ago when she was 14 years old? She's now 20 and wants to join the military.
Ooh, tough. Generally speaking, yeah. Generally speaking. So I think that you're going to have a tough time joining the military as an overstay. Number one, I think that you probably know that because you're asking this question. It is really tough to do the change of status because the parents did not marry. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's kind of a dead end situation unless well, I'm not even going to say unless, because now there's an out of status situation. Yeah, sorry. You're kind of in a bad situation. Again, you probably know that already. We're probably not telling you something that you don't already know, but it's tough and really depends on the facts and circumstances, and we need to take a look at it. But generally speaking, you would not be able to judge your status based on that because the parents did not get married.
All right. As a DACA recipient, should I file for advanced parole even if I came with a visa?
It depends on the reason why you're filing for advanced parole. I mean, do you have some reason to? Well, hold on a second. As far as DACA is concerned, I'm not even sure if they're doing DACA advanced parole right now. I could be wrong about that. But if the reason, what's the reason for filing for advanced parole? You didn't say, hey, my grandmother is sick. I want to go visit my grandmother. If you're doing it because you need an entry, you don't need an entry if you were inspected. So would love more information on that.
Yeah.
And might be able to help clarify that if you're trying to get another benefit from someone else. I'm going to end with this question, okay, because it is 1 p.m. and really fantastic questions, guys. We questions. Are out of time, but Ben says, I'm a U.S. citizen. Can I petition my fiance and my dad at the same time? The answer is yes, you can. One thing to be aware, though, Ben, is just as far as the affidavit of support is concerned, that you have sufficient income when the time comes to do an affidavit of support for your fiance as well as for your dad in the future. So, check that.
Yeah. Or better yet, have us check it. Just give us a call.
Have us check it. Have us file the fiance visa.
to do it all for you. And then you can just continue on your summer activities without worrying about it. Okay, Absolutely. Gang. Well, we will see you next Friday at 12 o'clock. And great questions today.
Awesome questions. Thank you so much for the questions. Two thumbs up.
Thumbs up. And come next Friday with your questions. We know you have them, and we've got answers.
Yeah,
We'll see you
sorry
then,
for this.
okay?
We were not able to get to. See you
All right.
guys next time.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks for the love, guys. Appreciate it.